The Department of Health and Human Services wants to crack down on doctors taking advantage of the state's medical marijuana program, so it's proposing changes to its policies. It's a topic the I-Team's PJ Rendawa has been investigating for months, and these proposals speak almost directly to an investigation the Missouri Highway Patrol is investigating right now.
Yes, they do, and it was an investigation we did actually last year. Now, in September, the Missouri State Highway Patrol began investigating a local doctor who owned a business called the Cannabus. They were looking into allegations she was selling marijuana on the bus itself. Now, the I-Team was contacted by a number of people claiming the owner, Dr. Zinia Thomas, wasn't checking people's IDs or medical histories before certifying them for a medical marijuana card. We took those concerns and some undercover video obtained by the I-Team to the head of the state's medical marijuana program last summer. He said he would look into it. Now, 6 months later, they're taking action. Those proposed policy changes would allow the public to submit complaints about doctors on the state's website. The department would also investigate complaints. If warranted, the state could refer cases to law enforcement or the Board of Healing Arts. In some cases, they could also refuse to honor any medical marijuana certifications issued by the physician under investigation. Now, there's also interest in the Missouri House to stop doctors from being able to use telemedicine to certify patients for medical marijuana cards. That's part of a bill that's moving through the State House. As for when we may see some of these changes, well, the Department of Health and Senior Services is currently seeking public comment about them. We're hearing it could take several months before they're officially added to the policy.
PJ, thanks.